So welcome everyone. Today we are on week 9, prayers meditations by the mother, batch 7. And I was also wanting to propose how to proceed with the course, but we can maybe talk about that towards the end. So maybe if one of you can remind, if I don't forget to talk about, or maybe I can then talk in the chat window also later. So we have today two prayers with us in the week 9, February 16, 1914 and February 17, 1914. So as we do every time, so anyone who feels ready to share their reflection may first please read the prayer and then share their reflection on the prayer. Yeah, please unmute anyone who feels ready to read and share. So I think Claudia has to go early and Dr. Rashmi have to go early, right? So let us prioritize two of you first, because it would be nice if you can share something of your own. Yeah, so Claudia, would you like to read the prayer at least and maybe share if you have anything? Yeah.
Yes, I hope you hear me well, yes?
Yeah, now it's okay. Yes.
O Supreme, Soul Reality, True Consciousness, Permanent Oneness, Sovereign, Repose of Perfect Light, with what an intensity I aspire to be conscious of only Thee, to be only Thyself. This insensate world of unreal personalities, this multiplicity, this complexity, this excessive, inextricable confusion of conflicting thoughts, struggling tendencies, battling desires, seems to me more and more frightful. I must emerge from this raging sea, land of thy serene and peaceful shore. Give me the energy of an indefatigable swimmer. I will conquer thee, however great may be the effort needed for that. Oh Lord, ignorance must be vanquished, illusion dispelled. This sorrowful universe must come out of its hideous nightmare and its terrible dream and awaken at last to the consciousness of thy soul reality. O immutable peace, deliver men from ignorance. May thy plenary and pure light reign everywhere. It's really deep. I can see how she pointed to the ego when she speak about the different personalities in us. That is usually from where I come, that's the fourth way, what we call it the lower self, that have this many desires all the time, yes? So it's one day that, another hour that, yes? But it cannot focus in one that is the real thing, that is higher. So we have like a kind of tame that little one that, well, sometimes it's a big one, sometimes it's a little one. And we can decide, I mean, in our history, many people describe this lower self sometimes like a dragon, yes, sometimes like a little pet, sometimes like a evil. In Catholic Church is the demon, yes, the higher demon. That Archangel Michael is the one that arrives to tame him, yes, it's more coming from the divine. So I don't know I don't know so many images in India, but for sure you have images about the lower self and the higher self taming, no? Taming this little ego or this little lower part of us.
Yeah. Yes, the lower self. Yeah. Thank you, Claudia. Yes, thank you for bringing that up. Yeah, it was the voice is a bit not clear from your end, but I think we could make out the crux of what you were sharing. Thank you. Okay, so anyone who wants to share their reflections on this prayer, anything that comes up more strongly for you, or if you want to go line by line, that's also okay. Anyone who wants to go next? Rashmiji, you want to go next if you are also have to go early today?
Namaste, all of you. Namaste,
Namaste.
Dr. Monica.
Namaste. Yeah.
This is so powerful, Dr. Monica. Supreme Lord is the sole reality. He is the true consciousness, and He is the permanent oneness. And He is the sovereign repose of perfect light. And I aspire to be conscious of only this sole reality. Currently, what we go through because of our separate self, because all our problems, all of these struggling tendencies, conflicting thoughts, battling desires, this complexity, this confusion comes because I am the separate self. That is why I aspire to be conscious of only thee and to be only thyself. So when I am not that, not identified with that source, then all these things actually happen. I feel myself completely ensnared and completely like as mother is comparing, a raging sea. I find myself on the raging sea. To come out of that, so what I'm aspiring for, Mother, give me this energy of an indefatigable swimmer. I must come out of this. My energy should not be exhausted, inexhaustible. My energy should be that. And whatever the great effort needed, I must do that. To come out of that, from that separate self. Because I aspire to be only thyself. So I have to completely identify myself with thee. So the effort would be needed for that. And once it is done, once I'm identified, then all these raging sea, raging, battling desires, conflicting thoughts, which makes me more frightful, would go. Oh Lord, ignorance must be vanquished. It must be vanquished. Illusion, whatever the illusion I have, must be dispelled. This sorrowful universe must come out of its hideous nightmare and its terrible dream, and awaken at last to the consciousness of thy sole reality. He is the sole reality. May thy plenary and pure light reign everywhere. This is life's journey, what I see actually. Whatever we are right now, we find ourselves in the sea, in all the whirlpools of all these thoughts, tendencies, desires. But once we start looking to him, surrender ourselves and identify ourselves, then we get the true path. So this is again the life's agenda. Thank you.
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you so much, Rashmiji. I think adds on to what Claudia was also sharing, the lower self or the outer personality, which usually is in this conflicting thoughts, the struggling tendencies, and in the moment we come in the inner being, we identify, as you said, with our true consciousness,
Yes.
the illusions are dispelled. Yes. Yeah. But that's the continuity we are all at, that can we make this a continuous identification? I think that's
Yes.
what our, yeah. Yes, thank you. When we read, yeah, maybe we'll come to that, Claudia. Yeah, yes, thank you for sharing. So anyone who wants to share next, till Shweta, Taru,
Yes,
and
I
yeah,
have.
please.
Yeah, it's always very interesting to hear other people say, because otherwise it is so just solely me. But I really, the acknowledgement in detail of what is happening inside, it is such a comfort for me to hear Mother mention it. All those struggling things and each other conquering things and fighting things, and the energy it takes when not identified with the one. And it's, I take it as a sign of becoming conscient, that you can acknowledge in yourself that it is like this. You cannot make it more beautiful than it actually is. And I also remembered from Savitri, the sailor on the flow of time. And it's really the details that Mother mentions here. I mean, that's what I'm here visiting a psychologist for. So she just mentions it, and it's just there, and it makes it more open to identify with the right things. That's what has come to me.
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. I think absolutely could not agree more that whatever Mother and Sri Aurobindo, especially Mother here in prayers, she describes, as you said, it gives us a comfort that, oh, wow, Mother has also touched that conflicting thoughts and emotions. She has also not, many a times in prayers, she says that I still find myself doing an act without being consecrated to thee. And as you said, it's very comforting to see that Mother also took a plunge in that nightmare, and we'll come to that later. And also this dissecting, this quality that Mother and Sri Aurobindo, as if they have a complete, they have dissected the whole human psychology, the whole, of the human evolution, from a person's childhood to being an adult, what all the drama that we go through. So it's really very precisely and exactly described in their words. Absolutely agree. Yeah. Great. And that's why, this there is this book called The Greater Psychology, which is a compilation of the words of Mother and Sri Aurobindo by, I think, maybe Amal Kiran, if I'm not wrong, or maybe A.S. Dalal. So absolutely, that this is truly a greater psychology.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think I have that that book.
Yeah. Okay, great. So who wants to go next? Yes, Shweta.
Yeah, so yeah, like Till also said, this prayer gives, again, it's full of hope, because yes, we want to reach that place where we are one with the soul reality. But like Mother has said, here she's mentioned this unreal personalities, this multiplicity, the complexity, all this, it's so much a part of you. And I do understand that, like while reading this prayer feels home, and every time you read something that Mother has said or Sri Aurobindo has said, it feels like, yes, this is the way. And yet you as a person, you're full of this multiplicity and complexity. And like I understand now, like it goes moment by moment, and it comes to to reach this level, this serene and peaceful shore, or to conquer the divine, and be that. I think it's very long journey. And I feel very hopeful, because Mother does mention all these things that an average human being feels. Because moment by moment I feel, while I understand this, while I'm able to get deeper into this, but as a person, when I live my life, there's like largely maybe like in a day, few hours I am able to be that conscious person. There are times when like knowing all this, and understanding all this, yet like you're just taken by this judgment in you, like you judge others. And while you're judging, that, oh, you are aware you should not judge, and yet you're judging. And like you give into, like Monica, the other day we were talking about preferences and choices. It's so complex, like the day by day application, or understanding or moving towards the path. uh, I think this prayer just gives hope, and you understand that this is the way, because it feels it feels so one with you. You really resonate with this, and yet it's a long, 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 long way. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I think these ghosts of tendencies and patterns, the judgment that you were talking of that
Yeah.
day, I was talking to Taru also, that you see the judgment popping up in your mind, and you have been there so many times, and you see it, and it has
Yeah.
still not gone away. You see that it's still lurking around the corner,
Absolutely.
trying to kind of hop on you. And it's really amazing. One
While
can,
right?
yeah.
That, you have a better choice, and, like you can, and yet something in you just wants to judge, it's like, so yeah, long
Yeah.
way.
Yeah, I think this also reminds me really strongly of this movie, A Beautiful Mind, or The Beautiful
Yeah.
Mind. So Taru had
Mhm.
shared this movie with me, and then I saw this movie. And
Mhm.
towards the end, this
Yeah.
famous mathematician John Nash, he's having hallucinations throughout the movie, and then he's working on it. So towards the end, a professor asks him, "Do you still see those people who you used to see earlier, people who weren't really real, like these were just imaginations or hallucinations?" And he looks around and he sees those people sitting at the bench, and he says, "Yes, I see them, but I choose to ignore them." So I think that has really stayed with me, because this is how our tendencies or default patterns of thought and judgments behave. Like they're always there, lurking around the corner, or many a times totally in the forefront. But now it's my choice whether I want to go by it or maybe not react to it. So yes, one can never be really too soon over them, and that keeps one grounded also, I believe. Yeah, so great. Anyone? Yeah, Taru, you want to go next?
Yeah, hi. Uh, so I want to say that really beautiful sharings. First of all, it was really a pleasure to hear that. And from my end, like in addition to a lot that was said, what came to me was that you know I run from my pain, right? Like when I am in the middle of pain, all I want it is for the pain to go away. But I don't see where that pain is taking me, right? Like, so here, when, they are talking about conflicting thoughts, struggling tendencies, battling desires, like, I need to have thoughts, conflicting thoughts to want to get rid of them. I need to really be struggling with my tendencies to want to be above or, step aside. I need strong, killing desires so that I can, so that I want a state where there are no desires. So how grateful I should be. And, a lot of times we are, right? Like once you have, it's like if you're experiencing something a little hard, and when it's over, I mean, you are happy that it's over, but you can also very clearly see what it was trying to show you or what you can learn from that. So all the raging seas, in my life, I just felt that how there's so much place for those, and how it's not just, it's not for somebody's humor. It's, like sometimes we hear this, that why did God do this to me, or why do I only face this? But how we can, in our smallness, we often don't see where it's taking me and what it's doing to me. And these adjectives, like not really adjectives, but these choice of words again, like soul, true, permanent, sovereign, intensity, how it's like the middle ground won't work for me anymore. I've been there enough. Now I want the ultimate. That was also something that was really beautiful. And yes, like, it's like when I was reading this, like, again, these words, multiplicity, complexity, and all that, like one could see that how it's a door that takes me to the other side, because I must go through this in order for me to have the intensity to go to the other side. Or, I mean, not like to the other side, but just, to find myself more. Yeah. And then the energy aspect, where it was, the energy of an infatigable swimmer, like how much strength, how much persistence and will is needed. Because, it's like you're fighting with nobody but yourself, right? Like till you're fighting with the outside, it's not really, the fight has not even begun. But when you realize that your fight is with yourself, your tendencies, your desires, you're wanting to go after the glitter and the glamour, it's then that it starts. So the energy and the grace it needs is so much. And again, I think, I don't remember, but somebody had shared, how just to know that one is feeling this and one wants to get out of it is so much grace, like so much awareness is needed. So I think even the thought that I want to get out of it and do something about it is in itself something to be very grateful about. Yeah, I think, yeah, thank you.
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you so much, Taru. I think if one can actually see the beauty, what you were sharing, that there is a purpose to the conflicting thoughts, there is a purpose to the struggling tendencies. I think then it's really becomes a little less challenging, because then we are not really pushing things away, because then we are ready to go through them. So that's really a beautiful kind of an attitude, if it can be kind of taken in this life, because this will come, battling desires will be there, because that's how our journey has been somehow designed, from darkness to light. So if the attitude can be this, that okay, let me go through all these battling and conflicting and confusion of thoughts, then it becomes really an adventurous journey. Yeah. So I'll just go shortly. I think most of us have shared, but like just as we do every time, I'll just go over the prayer once again and maybe bring out a few things if it comes to the picture, and then also share something on what Claudia was asking about this terrible dream and awaken. O Supreme Soul Reality. I think I have also mentioned about this in earlier prayers where Mother has mentioned the exact same word, soul reality. Now, there is nothing to existence but the consciousness of existence. But usually my consciousness is focused and limited on the contents of consciousness. What are the contents of consciousness? Just like in a room, the contents are the bed, the table, the things kept in the room. I never really notice the space. So just like that, we never really knowingly know the consciousness. We are always focused on the content of consciousness. While the content cannot be there if the soul reality, which is the consciousness itself, true consciousness, is not there. That's why Mother says soul reality. There is no reality to thoughts and feelings and sense perceptions if not for the presence of consciousness. But the trouble with most of us is that we make our thought and feelings and sense perceptions so solid. We give them so much of solidity and we ignore the consciousness behind them. Permanent oneness, just like a space goes throughout the universe. It is a permanent continuity. You can never say, okay, the space ends here. That's how our true consciousness, which is this knowing aspect in us, is not in us. It's just expansive like space. It's part of everyone, 6 participants here. And all of us, what is the oneness that we share? We share this knowing aspect, which is an aspect which all of us carry with us 24/7, and which is the shared being with all of us. This is the oneness that is there. True consciousness, permanent oneness. It cannot be, kind of broken. Sovereign repose of perfect light, the light of consciousness. With what an intensity I aspire to be conscious of only thee, as Rashmi ji was sharing in the beginning, that, this is our aspiration. That most of the time I am identified with the content of consciousness. I'm totally lost in the drama, thought, feeling, sense, perception. What is our aspiration? Our aspiration is to know more and more consciously. I think Shweta also was reiterating this, that to make a continuity in knowingly knowing myself as awareness, as true consciousness. We don't want any breaks. That's the aspiration, that I have glimpsed the true consciousness once, and I want to have it more and more and more in my life. I just do not want it in just glimpses all the time. Just like Kabir also says, Ram Ras, he talks about the divine nectar, that once I have tasted the divine nectar, I have a need or an aspiration for it to have it more and more and more and more once I have tasted it, because that's what is our true reality. I aspire to be conscious of only thee, to be only thyself. So is it possible? Is it possible for each one of us to knowingly know ourselves as the presence of consciousness, as true awareness, as true consciousness, rather than, as gradually we grow in baby steps, rather than getting lost in the kind of raging seas again and again. Now, it is not wrong to get lost in raging seas. That's our gradual journey, but slowly as we grow on the path, that's the aspiration, that more and more we become our true selves. And that's how we become a candle in this darkness, because as I think someone was sharing, that all the human beings are suffering because of the identification with thoughts, feelings, and sensations. Who is a person who is not attached to his past, who does not remember and recollect what happened to me and what person did that to me, who is a person who is not worried about the future. So all of us have tasted that terrible nightmare. So it is the need of the hour, Mother says, has been saying since years, that it is the need of the hour that more of us grow into that candles of light, knowingly know ourselves as consciousness, so that we are not lost in the raging sea all the time, and we can be of a little service, a little kind of a drop of help to this vast existence. This incessant whirl of unreal personalities. What a remarkable line, as I think Taru was mentioning, beautiful selection of words. Incessant. Shweta was saying that the judgment is still there. Kabir says that as long as I have breath in the body, I have to be vigilant. The ego is not gone. Ego will never be gone as long as the body is there, because it takes a long, long time, as you were sharing, to become stabilized as true consciousness. And the ego then slowly withers away. Really a lifetimes of a journey. So in one lifetime, I cannot just expect that now I have journeyed enough, 20 years of my sadhana, I am the most egoless person. That's the biggest ego. So to never to drop this vigilance, incessant whirl, it can pop up anytime, in any interaction that you do in the world, and it pops up and you are caught unaware because you thought you have become egoless. So very, very strong vigilance required. This incessant whirl of unreal personalities. How much solidity we give to our thoughts. How much solidity we give to images about people in our head. Images about me in my head. That this is what I think of me and this is what it is real. How much solidity we give. And Mother is saying this incessant whirl of unreal personalities. This multiplicity, because if I have an image of a person in my head, another friend of that person will have another image in his head. So who is that true person? Is the person images? Am I an image? So unreal personalities, and persona is mask. It's just an outer appearance. So not to give too much importance to our thoughts, not to give too much importance to our opinions, ideas, and judgments. Hold it very, very lightly. This multiplicity, this complexity, this excessive, inextricable, that which cannot be pulled out, inextricable confusion of conflicting thoughts. This is what Mother is giving us the taste of being in the egoistic state of consciousness. This is what all of us have tasted. Things appear so complex when I am the ego. When I am the awareness, things become really kind of very feathery light. I'm holding on to nothing. I'm enjoying, partaking of the beauty of this life, but I'm not holding on to anything. I'm not clinging to anything. The beauty is there, the sadness may be there, but the clinging is absent. Only when we cling, the complexity starts. And it is the vital that clings. It is the desire self that clings. As Mother says, the journey is from the desire, as Claudia was sharing, the desire or the lower self to our true consciousness. That's the journey. Battling desires seems to me more and more frightful. This one is, it is actually frightful, where we can be such a trap of despair and darkness we can create for ourselves. We can plunge into really deep depressions. And this is all created by my mind. No one else is responsible for it. There is no other divine sitting anywhere on the throne. I am the divine and I am creating a reality for myself. But we don't call that, because then we'll have to become too responsible for our thoughts. So we dare not call ourselves the divine, because then I'll have to be responsible for whatever I think. I must emerge from this raging sea. Land on thy serene and peaceful shore. So Mother is showing that this is possible. That is also possible. The raging sea, it is a possibility, but the emerging out is also possibility. I must emerge from this raging sea, land on thy serene and peaceful shore. Give me the energy of an indefatigable swimmer. This is the warrior spirit, the Aryan spirit. I think Taru was also mentioning to this energy, of this indefatigable, a swimmer that never tires. And who can never tire? Only that person can never tire who begins to enjoy the journey, enjoy the waters itself. So if it is pain, okay, let me go through it, as you were sharing. If it is sorrow, okay, let me go through it. Let me swim through it. I must not stick to appearances of sorrow. I must go deep into it. You know, Kabir ji has this couplet, Jin khoja tin paiya, gehre pani pat. So he talks that whoever wanted to found in the deepest of waters. So not to be afraid of going through challenges. That does not let me know that if a dictate of an anger has come, then I have to become angry. Not that. But whatever external situation is thrown in front of me, okay, let me in awareness, as awareness, go through it. I will find, you know, something deeper, something more real and true when the appearances end. So give me the energy, having this faith that I will find something of value when I go through this, you know, this raging sea of conflicting situations. And that's how we become of use to this world, actually. Because if I have not been in pain, I have not been in sorrow, how can I connect with your pain? You know? That's how we connect with each other's pain. That's how I connect with each other's, you know, we connect with each other's suffering. That, okay, you have been there, I have also been there. Acha, you have desired, I have also desired. But it is a possibility for us to go beyond that as well. Give me the energy of an indefatigable swimmer, because the challenges will be there. They will not get rid of them so easily. I would conquer thee, however great may be the effort needed for that. So this is the Aryan spirit, you know, that no matter what is the situation, I will go through it and will be conquer, you know, will conquer the situation. This is the indefatigable spirit, human spirit, which is one with Shiva's consciousness. You know, that day in Savitri, we were reading these lines that why the play of Prakriti can happen to such worst possible situations. Why so much havoc can happen in our lives and still we are alive. Or can the human spirit is alive because of the presence of Shiva's consciousness in us. That does not die. That does not die when the body drops dead. That is the immutable spirit that we all are. O Lord, ignorance must be vanquished, illusion dispelled. Why? Because tasting the delight of true consciousness is our birthright. That's why she says, must be vanquished. What is the use of me being a king and full of treasure while I live a life of a beggar all the time? Sit on my treasure. Don't know even if the treasure exists or not. So our true reality, our true consciousness is the treasure. And that's why Mother says that it's the birthright of each one of us. Illusions must be dispelled. This sorrowful universe must, she places a must here, must come out of this hideous nightmare. And that's why saints and mystics have said that it's a dream, wake up from your dream. So when I identify with my thoughts, feelings, sense perceptions, when I know them as real, then I am illusioned. Then I am dreaming. And when I know myself truly as consciousness, which is a long journey itself, stabilizing myself as consciousness, then I get awakened. That is what we call enlightenment. That I now have become aware of my true nature. Earlier, I was just aware of whatever senses was giving me. And I was thinking that was being awake. Okay, I am up, I can see the light, it means I am awake. No, that's the senses. So here, whenever I am perceiving, when I am judging, whenever I have opinions, ideas, whenever I am just on the surface of sense perceptions and thinking of them as reality, I am deluding myself. And that's why it becomes a nightmare for most of us. So that's just a signal that I am attaching at a wrong place. It's not real. And that's why life is not really a struggle. Life is only a struggle when we are in egoistic consciousness. Life is not a struggle and a nightmare and a bad dream when we are out of the egoistic consciousness. And it is the experience of all of us today here. All of us have tasted that simplicity of joy of life when we are not egos. but the ego has the tendency to pop back up. It's like the jack in the box, you think you have, closed the box, but the moment, it opens again and the jack is out, the joker is out. So that's the vigilance that is required. And that's why it becomes nightmarish for us. We start to have too much of suffering in life when we become too identified with our thoughts, feelings, and whatever we are thinking in the head, taking them too seriously. So this is the hideous nightmare of the egoistic consciousness that we have to come out of. Otherwise, life is not a botheration. It's not a struggle. It's really can be an adventurous, joyful ride. Must come out of this hideous nightmare and this terrible dream, the terrible dream of not knowing ourselves as true consciousness. That's the only terrible dream. So knowingly being aware of ourselves as true consciousness. Who am I? I am the awareness with which I become aware of a thought. Now, whatever is the content of the thought, right now, that is not of importance. Because most of the times, 90% of the times, we are indulging in thoughts which are of not importance. Thought is not a problem. Our obsession with thought is a problem. So this is what we have to awaken to. We have to end the terrible dream of being identified as the egoistic consciousness and awaken at last to the consciousness of thy soul reality. So we have to become aware of the screen. When we are watching a movie, we have to become aware of the screen and defocus ourselves for a time being from the landscape that appears on the screen. Because when I too much get lost in the landscape, I become identified with the landscape. I give too much of reality to it. That's where the suffering begins. But then the moment the movie is over, the landscape disappears. And the only thing left is the screen. So when we drop the body dead, what remains is our true consciousness. And that's why in Tibetan Buddhism, they call it the mother luminosity. Our true being shines in its full radiance. But if I have not had a glimpse of it while I have the body, then I will not be able to embrace it and rejoice the goodness of that true consciousness, because I have never known it. I'll maybe run away from it, not knowing what this bright radiance it is. So that's our sadhana. That's our work in this life, to awaken ourselves to our true being, who we truly are, Masters, mystics, come after another. They have said this again and again in various forms, imparted the teaching in so many different ways. O immutable peace, deliver men from ignorance. May thy plenary and pure light reign everywhere. And this is where Mother dedicates towards the end of every prayer. Mother dedicates this, goodness to everyone. She never says that, okay, I have communicated what I had to communicate with you and my task is over. She prays for the whole of the humanity. So she spreads over this light and radiance that she touches in her own being, that may everyone awaken to thy soul reality, and may the sorrow, may they be free of sorrow. Yeah. So that's what was coming to me on this. Anyone who wants to add on to anything here? Okay, so let's move on. I'm assuming there is no further addition here to this short prayer that we have, the last one for today, Feb 17, 1914. So whoever wants to read it and share their reflection, please go ahead. Rashmi ji, you are still there. You want to do it, and then after that, maybe you can. If you want to leave early.
Yeah, I was just listening to you. So
yeah, please.
Let me read it. February 17th, 1914. O Lord, how ardently my aspiration rises to thee. Give us the full consciousness of thy law, the constant perception of thy will, so that our decision may be thy decision, our life solely consecrated to thy service, and as perfect an expression as possible of thy inspiration. O Lord, dispel all darkness, all blindness. May everyone enjoy the calm certitude that thy divine illumination brings. You please go ahead, Dr. Monica.
Okay, Rashmiji. Yeah, anyone who wants to share anything that comes to you on this prayer?
Well, I have the feeling that what is mentioned, so that our decision may be thy decision, that's the way we have to go along in practicing sadhana, because that's in my as far as I can see with my short-sighted consciousness, that's the work that has to be done to because you have to become aware of the will of the Lord to be able to consecrate to it and become one with it. That's what comes to me.
Yeah, thank you. Yes. Yeah, anyone? Anything coming to you on this? Taru, would you like to share anything here?
I think it's almost all of it was actually, from my side, covered in, the February 16th one. But like, just to still share a bit, like, oh Lord, how ardently my aspiration rises today. So I think again, this intention, this intensity, it's like it again and again, you realize how important it is, because we all want it, right? Like, there would be hardly anybody who wouldn't want peace, who wouldn't want to know what all this, what this life is all about. But we don't make an effort, because it's like it's fine, right? Like, okay, I have a little bit of happiness, I have a little bit of sadness, and life seems to be all right almost all the time. So this wanting, this intensity, this ardently, I feel, was what like spoke to me a bit, how ardently my aspiration rises today. That of course we all want, but how much longing is there, how much sincerity and will is there in that aspiration to give us the full consciousness of thy law. Now, there's a saying that it's not that we don't want bigger goals, like, but our life, we get stuck in the smaller, easier goals, and that's why we don't reach the bigger one. I think there was this quote from Bhagavad Gita which said that the easy goals are so easy, the smaller one, so we lose the bigger goal. So we hardly anybody wants the full consciousness. If today my day was pleasant, I really don't think too much about, my practices and my anything in that regard, if it's all good. But when it's hard, it's then that I want, that like the last prayer they were saying, that I don't want the, the mixes, the in between things. I want the full stuff, the permanent stuff. So give us the full consciousness of thy law, like maybe conscious that, how thy law is working, because it's so easy for me to get distracted, to get dispersed, to believe in whatever I see in front of me, because it has this power, right? Something physical in front of you, or a collective saying that this is to be done that way. And because I don't know thy law fully, it's much easier for me to believe in the 100 other things that are relative, which are not true. So the constant perception of thy will. So I perceive thy will constantly, so that a decision may be thy decision and a life solely consecrated to thy service. So it's again, based comparing it to the older, the one that we read before, that I don't want middle paths anymore. I don't want temporary anymore. I want to be totally dedicated to you, devoted to you, solely to you, and make me a perfect, how it said, perfect instrument of thy will. O Lord, dispel all darkness, all blindness. May everyone enjoy the calm certitude that thy divine illumination brings. I really like this word, this everyone. So, because if it's not everyone, if there is unpeace, it will affect me. So it's like, again, the Buddhist prayer, the woes of Bodhicitta. I don't know if it's Bodhicitta or Bodhisattva. I'm sorry, Monica, you know better. But how it's like, may all beings be well and happy. So just on the same thing, that calm certitude that thy divine illumination brings. And that also reminded me, how Mother says that it's only you. There's nobody else who can, give me anything that is worth getting. So this calm certitude that thy divine illumination brings. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I think this last line, as you were sharing, this wishing for everyone, this comes very, very strongly in Buddhism also. And just try it. I think if we don't experiment with it, how can we taste what it gives? So just try, 3 minutes or 2 minutes of just wishing whatever peace we have glimpsed in our life. And even if we don't have that glimpse, if maybe you find yourself in the middle of suffering, and that's what the Tonglen meditation is about. That yes, I am suffering, I see myself suffering, but I also know that there is a resolution possible from this suffering. So may all the beings who are suffering like this today, may they all be free of this sorrow and suffering. And the moment you do it, one just have to really experiment with it, what taste it brings you. So this goodwill, this aspect of having goodwill for everyone, that I may not have that peace at the moment, but I still wish and pray. And if you really practically do it sincerely for even 1 second, or even seconds, or 2 minutes or 1 minute, one sees the shift in consciousness it brings. And along with that, it's a win-win situation, because you're also praying for the whole of the manifestation. And as you were sharing, that there is nothing outside of us. The perception of different persons is a falsehood. That's where we suffer. All our life is full of suffering of what other people are saying to me and what other people are doing to me, while the very concept of other people is an hallucination. There's nobody out there. So that's the dream that we have to be awaken. We have to awaken ourselves. Although practically speaking, there is somebody out there, because that story of that person who is saying, I am Brahm, I am Brahm, I am the one who is divine. So even if there is an elephant on the road, I don't have to do anything, because we are all divine. It's only oneness. And the elephant hits the man. So for practical purposes, we need to use our brains, because the brains are also given by the divine only. But in truth, there is no other. That's where our aspiration has to slowly take us. Yes, anyone wants to add on their reflections to this prayer? And when we have goodwill in our life, then we actually dissolve that boundary. So I'm praying best will for myself, and I'm praying all the bestest possible wellness for all the people. And then it is also mentioned in Buddhism to rejoice in other people's goodness. So for example, if I see somebody being very kind, I see somebody being very generous, being very compassionate, loving, I rejoice in that goodness. So I may not be there, but I say, wow, what goodness are you spreading? And I feel so joyful in my heart for the goodness that you are spreading. So to rejoice in the goodness of others. If somebody has cleared an exam, my kid may not have cleared that exam and have failed maybe, for example, but to even then be able to rejoice what happiness they must be feeling, in whatever little victory they have in their life. So that's where the ill will slowly begins to end, and goodwill starts to spread. So let us just go through it again once shortly, and then I think end the session then. O Lord, how ardently my aspiration rises to thee. Give us the full consciousness of thy law. I think this already Taru has shared about this, that we don't want just glimpses. We have glimpses at the moment and grateful for that. But the aspiration is to go even more further to make the union more perfect. That's what Mother says in every prayer, that I want to make the union more perfect. Yes, till we'll talk about the continuation in 2 minutes. Yeah. Give us the full consciousness of thy law, because that is when we will be truly ourselves. All of us want to be truly ourselves. Who am I? I want to be truly myself. But if I'm not identified with knowingly as my consciousness, I cannot be truly myself, because that's my true nature. So this constant full consciousness of thy law, there we become truly ourselves. And then the constant perception of thy will. Usually what am I perceiving? I am perceiving the will of egoistic state of consciousness. Okay, what is the demand of outer personality? Okay, what is the expectation of the outer egoistic personality from this person, that demand, that situation? Usually I am identified with that will, that part of egoistic consciousness. So here she is saying, I want the constant perception of thy will. How can that come? When I disidentify myself from the thoughts, feelings, and opinions in my head. When I know myself as the awareness behind whatever goes on the surface, then in that silence, I become aware of thy will. I perceive thy will. So not focusing on the contents of the room, focusing on the space of the room. From there, because it's not an empty space. It looks like an empty space, but it's full of pregnant with possibilities. That's where all the inspirations and ideas come from. So that our decision may be thy decision. So when I disengage from the surface drama and I become silent within, then the right action emerges. Then the right divine order emerges. So that our decision may be thy decision and our life solely consecrated to thy service. So in whatever action I do, in whatever decision I take, I have no selfish manipulation that, okay, this will give me satisfaction. That is how things should go this way. So first I detach from my own opinions. I detach from my own judgments. I become calm within. And then from there an inspiration comes, and that is the action taken in pure selflessness. Because no matter whatever way this action goes, I have nothing to gain from here. If this action is beneficial for all, let thy will be done. So that's where the inner decision arises. And our life solely consecrated to thy service, and as perfect an expression as possible of thy inspiration. What Taru was sharing earlier, to be a perfect and more perfect and more perfect, for more finely tuned instrument of divine work. O Lord, dispel all darkness. The egoistic state of consciousness is full of darkness. Otherwise, there is absolute flowing simplicity in life. So whenever I find myself in total darkness, I am identified with egoistic state. O Lord, dispel all darkness, all blindness, blinded by patterns and tendencies and identification with thoughts. We become too blind there in our own expectations and hidden agendas. O Lord, dispel all darkness, all blindness, because I'm not wanting to be anybody now. Ego always wants to be somebody. It always wants to be at least a little somebody, a little somebody, if not a big somebody. So now all this demand of being a somebody has gone away. And I don't want to be anybody. And in that, there is true freedom. And where is freedom is the divine. All blindness of the ego, may everyone enjoy. And this is where I think Taru was hinting at, even in Buddhism, the bodhisattva vows that we take, where we pray for everyone, may I be a drop of service for everyone who is going through sorrow. May I be a drop of whatever, little light for everyone who is going through darkness, and not always just wishing for my darkness, because when we take this step to work for others' darkness, the immediate shift is that our own darkness disappears to a large extent. So I don't have to wait for my darkness to disappear. The moment I embrace other people's suffering, I say that, okay, let me be of some little help here. Let me be a loving presence here. There's enough suffering. The moment I, let go of my own darkness. And may everyone enjoy the calm certitude that thy divine illumination brings. Now, the true nature that we are, the divine illumination, this last part, our true nature is like sunlight. Sunlight is needed for all the objects to be seen. But for itself, it does not need any other light. So it's self-illuminating. And just like that, our own light of consciousness, through which I see a thought, I see the content of my story in the head, I see a feeling. So feeling, thoughts, and sense perceptions need the light of consciousness for them to be seen. But the light itself is self-illuminating, it knows itself. It's a self-knowing light. It's a self-knowing knowing. So may everyone have the joy of this identification with the knowing that we are. That's where immutable peace lies. That's where calm certitude lies. So that's a beautiful place to end, wishing for everyone, making a goodwill for everyone, so that we also are in a right place within. So I think thank you everyone for sharing and reflecting together. So just shortly regarding how we'll continue the series. So usually we have been doing it by batches, like 9-week course and then a pause, short pause, and then more people register and then a short pause and 9-week course again. But it has been more of a continuation. So it is just a proposal. I have not any idea concrete in my head that let us not make a break at all. Let's not do it as a 9-week course anymore. And since there are so many prayers which are still to be taken up one by one, can we just continue the journey without naming it as a course? I don't know. That's what just is coming to me. And if people want to contribute from time to time, they can do their contributions. But my idea is now not to do it as a course, but a continuing series. Yeah, Till, you have to share something.
Yeah, I'm nodding at the screen. I would be very grateful for the continuation of it.
Beautiful. Okay, great. So what do you think, Taru and Shweta? Is it okay if we just kind of do this continuing series?
Yeah, so it's whether it's series or continuation in my head, it's one thing only, I'll continue.
Yeah, perfect. Okay. Great. And if you know people who would be interested, you can always bring them on board and just share it with friends. So I can make a poster definitely, but it's not like we used to do earlier that this is how you register and all that. I think we can let go of that part because there are already so many people who are continuing from previous courses. So no need to make it into another course. and we'll just continue like this, and whoever people new want to join, we can just add them on board. So yeah, I think that's how we can do it. Okay, great. Thanks everyone, and Merry Christmas to everyone.
Yeah, Merry
Yeah.
Christmas. Thanks a
Yeah.
lot.
Enjoy.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye.